Exciting news, at least I think it's exciting. For about a year now, I have been rewriting my workbook for the Pressure Free Living course. And gosh, it's just been a journey to put more things in, more tools in, make it as impactful as they possibly can. It's an 80-page workbook and with large print and graphics, so it's very easy to consume, workbook pages, and it goes along with my online course. So I'll be making videos to go with that as well. So that whole course is going to be redone. You can still purchase my other course, but the new course is going to come out soon. Um, and also, whenever someone is my private client, they receive my workbook chapters, my session chapters, and all the videos too. So it's an important piece to my coaching because that's something that lives forever for them. They can look up things, they can reread chapters and stay in the game of living pressure free. So I'm going to have this, I promise to have this up on Amazon by the end of the week. So by next Sunday, I am committing to it being completely edited and up on Amazon. I've never done that before. I've never sold my book separately, my workbook. So that's something new as well. So I'm really incredibly excited to share that tonight on my group mastery thing. They're all going to get a copy of it, of course, because they're my clients. Um, but yeah, so if you're interested in that, stay tuned. So there are other books up on Amazon. I have my pressure free planners. I've got to get quarter 3 and 4 up, but 1 and 2 are there. You can purchase those. And of course, my 2 books, Pressure Free Parenting and The Pressure Free CEO. So the parenting book is you can use it even if you aren't a parent. You can reparent yourself with it. All my clients get a copy of that and my CEO book too. My CEO book, I really talk about the pressures that leaders experience. You don't have to be a CEO or business owner. You could be a professional, or you could be working in anything. You could be the CEO of your home. It's a huge home we're staying in right now. It would take a CEO to run it. So, so, um, so yeah, so those are all there for you. But let's talk about standards. And there's an acronym, CANI. I first learned about CANI when I was a business major in the 80s, studying about Deming, and when Deming went to Japan and studied are how are these cars, how are things being manufactured there in such a unique way? Like problems are solved very quickly. What's going on there? And the basic concept, I believe he was the one that coined it, is CANI, constant and never-ending improvement. I felt like when I learned that term, I thought, gosh, I've been kind of doing that my whole life with sports and music. If you've done anything in sports and music in your lifetime, you know that feeling of constantly improving, constantly fixing the phrase, just this little bit more. Same thing as a rower in particular, like constantly working on my technique. We weren't a very tall and big team for the University of Michigan when I rode for them. But our coach, who had rowed at Princeton, she taught me how to row. She was my novice coach as well. Like I was a novice for 3 weeks and got thrown in the varsity boat. It was crazy. And so I really listened to her and really kept finessing my technique. So did all of us in the boat. We worked on that a lot. And that made us powerful. That made us a championship team, well, second place, which was pretty darn fun. Um, so this idea of constant and never-ending improvement, there's 2 other words that kind of go with this. One is understanding what you value, and then what are your standards? So I'm going to focus on standards for a moment. I was with in a training talking about standards as well, with another coach that I know. And the idea of looking at how you do the things in your life, and are there ways that you can even just slightly up level your standards? It could be something you do in the kitchen. And here's something that I've noticed, especially if you move a lot or travel a lot, you go to different places, you may have different standards for the different homes you're in. Now there's a different setup in the kitchen. I mean, you'll notice these little changes and differentiations from your past. And sometimes standards can slip or we up level them. So that's something you can take a look at and just ask yourself, like how you do things in the kitchen, how you clean your home, who cleans your home. Um, is it the way you really want it? Are things the way you really want them to be? One way you can figure this out is what do you complain about? If you complain about the mess in the hall closet or the mud room, maybe we need to lift our standards or change some things so that everything can fit in the closet or fit in the mud room. Um, we had an old-fashioned house. So in the front, we called it the vestibule, like a church, right? But just the front little part between two sets of doors was where all the hooks were for coats and things. We had a little hat box and you things like that. But that's not nearly enough for a family with three boys. So then we have the back end of the house and the back porch, which was just, I mean, there were probably 20 pairs of hockey skates back there, and who knows how many sticks. So much going on. Where is everything stored? What is your standard for how you keep things? What is your standard for how you clean things? So that's like looking at standards for your home. And now you can do the same thing for whatever kind of work you do or school you do if you're in school. What are your standards for how you are doing all these things? What rules are you putting in place? I use the word rules gently because I don't really like it when people tell me to do certain things. They tell me like I'm kind of a rule breaker or I push back. I have a lot of resistance to someone telling me to do something. Working with me. So the word let's, by the way, if you're a parent, that's a great word to use with children. We did it all the time with ours, like, oh, let's go clean the back porch. Okay, so that means I'm doing it too. I'm getting involved too. I'm not just saying, can you please go clean the back porch with kind of a snarky voice? It's like, no, let's go clean the back porch today. It's like a project. We can have some fun with it. So your standards don't have to be like pushing on you and so that you have resistance against it. But the standard has to have a purpose and a meaning that makes life better, easier, or just up leveled in general. So in the workplace, so here, it's a tiny thing, but to me it really matters. It's a tiny thing, but if I'm writing, like printing with my hand or writing in cursive, and I suddenly see that my writing is getting sloppy, sometimes when I'm taking notes because I'm listening to something, my writing will get a little sloppy. I don't like that. I like to have really precise writing. I'm going to thank, if anyone from Concord, New Hampshire is watching this, you probably remember Art Jackson, who was the math teacher. He was head of the math department at Concord High School. The man had the most perfect printing on the board. And so many of us would try to emulate him. So penmanship, that's a thing for me, like having really precise penmanship. And I'll notice when I've lowered my standard. Um, and it doesn't feel good to me. So complaining or when things don't feel very good to you, a little tension, like if dishes pile up in the kitchen and you don't like that, you don't like how that feels. You have a different standard, you have a different expectation. Values play a role too. So if you have a value, for example, I'm in New England right now. I grew up with very, very frugal parents. My parents grew up in the Depression and World War II, and that's when a lot of their values were formed. So there was very little waste when I was growing up in my house, especially as the oldest, like very little waste of anything. Money, a faucet on was money down the drain. We did not waste water. And my father was a banker. And he, we talked about money. A lot of families don't talk about money. We talked about money a lot. He talked about money with me a lot. Money, value. We invest in assets. So we never bought a new car. The cars were always used, usually from some auction or someone that a client of my father's had passed away, and he knew in their barn there was some car that he would buy. It was crazy. So, but nothing, always everything looking toward value, future. Is it an asset? So he would buy He bought my violin because it would appreciate in value. That was something that was worthy, of spending money. So whatever our values are, that plays a role in informing our standards. So for example, clothing, this shirt has probably got to be about 20 years old. In New England here, there's people wearing things that are from 1970. Like, especially up here in the mountains in the lakes region. If it's not worn out, you wear it until the end. And if, by the way, if you're an environmentalist, clothing is one of the most polluting things in our world. So much of the clothing is made overseas today and it's shipped. And I mean, if you think about it, it's just really, really uses a lot of resources. And so that's a value that I hold to this day. Growing up with my parents who were pretty frugal, we made a lot of our own clothes growing up. My mother made our clothes for us, and or else we got them at a thrift store. We reused, all of that kind of thing. There was so little waste. I was thinking, we're talking about standards of living on our way out here, my eldest son and my husband and I. And when I was growing up, we didn't have any new furniture in our house for years. I was born in 62, and I think the first time we actually got like a new sofa, our sofa, by the way, was from an auction. It was horsehair. Kid you not. It was a little wooden sofa, like love seat size. And underneath the cushion it was made of horsehair. So when you sat on it, it crinkled. You know, that's those are the values I grew up with. My father, what's he doing? He's storing his money because his dream, by the way, I looked at my parents' life recently. I really just reflected on it. They both died in 2005, so it's been a while. They made all their dreams come true. They wanted to own a home on Lake Winnipesaukee. They wanted to own certain boats, like everything that they wanted to experience and acquire. Except for one thing, my father always wanted to go to Scotland to see hit the family castle, the McClellan Castle, on the west side of Scotland. And he never went because he stopped flying. He used to have to fly a lot to go to DC for banking business and stuff, and he really didn't like flying. He had a little acrophobia, and so he never went. But I think about my mother going to Germany to see my sister. Like my parents did, they stored their money for their dreams. A lot of us are just kind of spending our money and we haven't even defined our dreams. So values, standards, constant and never-ending improvement. We're never plateauing. There's always a little shift in one direction or the other in every area of our life. So you can kind of step back and take a look at that. That's some of the material. Some of these things that I'm sharing are some of the things that are going to be in this workbook, going really deeply into values, beliefs. Um, what do we truly desire? What is our path? What kind of chapter do we want to have? We really live our lives in chapters. It's been a fun visit out here. I've been doing work and being with family because my uncle passed away, and what a life he had. Talk about inspiring. Everything from paraplaning to and he was actually an instructor of paraplaning. He helped build the roads, I-93, I-91, I-89. Like he was a part of all those projects. He was artistic. He made amazing folk art out of metal. He um his pottery is just beautiful. I have one bowl. I just really, really, really loved my Uncle John. I love all my uncles. I loved all my relatives, and I have an internet connection on instability. So I hope you heard that. Um, but people, who are the people in your life that you want to spend time with? And do you make the effort to spend time with them? Over the past few years, I've made these swings from New York City up to Quebec and around, and I've stopped to see various family members. Several of them have passed away in the last couple of years. Had I not made those trips, I wouldn't have seen them and had my last conversations with them. And several times I would just stop in to see my Uncle John and Aunt Nancy. And I do it the old New England fashioned way where you don't call first, you just show up.